When I first turned in my badge and my gun at Original Grain, the first thing my boss said to me was, "Dude, what the hell? We didn't give you a gun." Anyways, today's episode of Tactical and Practical is going to cover the three biggest lessons I learned in my time as a head of marketing and the VP of marketing for a regional grain. In case you missed the news, I put my notice in. I'll be leaving at the end of the month. But I want to do a little farewell podcast if that's all right with you guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Intelligems. They are still our one-stop shop for growing profit. We're going to highlight a few split testing things during this episode, so I won't get into too many details, but all I can tell you right now is that on-site split testing became the biggest performance lever I had during my time at OG. When performance was bad, I'd start testing high impact, high traffic areas of our website. And when performance was good, I'd set the winning variations of those tests live and I'd start to strategize on how to beat them again. I can't stress how important this stuff has been. It's more impactful than anything we do in the ad account. It's more impactful than a lot of marketing tactics out there. So go to intelligems.io and schedule a demo today so you can start testing prices, offers, content, and a whole lot more on your website and ultimately grow your top and bottom line. All right, three biggest lessons. And for those watching on video, you might have noticed new cowboy hat. Howdy. Thank you. I like it a lot. All right. First biggest lesson. Don't sell whatever you want. Don't sell what you want. Make sure you are selling what your customers actually want. This was a little bit of a learning curve for me when I first got to OG just about 4 years ago. I thought people were buying watches. I thought people were buying really cool, unique, reclaimed wood watches. I was immediately drawn to the ones inlaid with whiskey barrel wood. I thought that's what people were buying. It took a little time, but we eventually found out that that's not what people are buying at all. People are buying, a way to mark a milestone. They're buying an accomplishment. They're buying a token of appreciation. And at their very core, they're buying an identity. And when we started to sell that token of appreciation and that way to mark a milestone, and when we started to sell that identity, performance improved on every channel we had. Because we were no longer telling people, hey, you should buy this watch. We were telling people that men who are, trailblazers, carving their own path, building their legacy, wear Original Grain watches. That speaks very differently to the consumer, and every brand has a version of this. Yours might not be so identity based, might be more problem solution focused, might be more benefit focused, but it's super important to dig into your customer reviews, to survey your customers, to really figure out what's the core thing they want, not just what they say they want, but what's the real outcome that they are striving for, and inlay that into every area of your marketing possible. So that's number one. Sell what your customers really want. Number two, massive growth comes from tiny wins. And it just comes from getting tiny wins over and over and over again. I credit so much of our success to our relentless split testing strategy, starting on our website and then rolling out across every channel. But that system that we have in place that we just executed week in, week out, didn't matter what was going on. We test new content, new headlines, new copy, new offers over and over and over again. You've heard me share some of the flashier ones on here, but for every flashy one I share that grows conversion rate by 40%, there's 25 tests that won by 7%. Or 4%, or 12%, or 15%, or 8%, and stacking those over and over and over again doesn't feel super impactful week to week, doesn't even feel impactful quarter to quarter, but when we look back on a year, we see how far we've come, and we really benefit from compounding and just stacking those wins. I've got a saying. None of my team have adopted it. I've tried to coin it. It doesn't work. But I like to say never waste a win. And I think that mentality has taken us really far, where we get one of these, let's call them micro wins, that are only a 5% or 10% delta between the control. And that's fine, but no one's really excited about a 6% increase on anything. But with the mentality of never wasting that win, you can look at, hey, let's look at why that test won. Is there anything we can learn from it that we can not just apply to this landing page, but can we apply it to our ad account? Can we apply it to our email and SMS welcome flow? Can we apply it to our influencer reads? That's what I'm talking about when I say never waste a win. I'm not just getting a 6% win on a landing page. I'm taking what I learned from that micro win, applying it to every area of the marketing funnel that we possibly can. So now it's not just 6% on one page, it's 6% across the funnel. And that starts to get exciting when you start to do some pretty big numbers. All right. Number one, to recap again. Sorry, I'm not done. There's number 3. I almost forgot number 3. I was about to go into recap mode. But the episode's not done yet, and I've got the third and maybe most important one here. Do what's right for your brand. Do not just blindly follow, industry best practices. Do not just do whatever I do at OG. Don't just do whatever Ridge does. Don't just do whatever Hexclad does. You really need to understand the game that you're playing. Because the game that you're playing is different than anybody else's game. Your customers are different. Your product is different. The brand is different. The price point might be different. Everything about your brand is unique. Unless you completely ripped someone off, in which case you just copy their tactics. But we think about this all the time, and we're kind of forced to in the watch industry. It's very obvious that, hey, we cannot do what Rolex does. We cannot do what a lot of these, legacy Swiss watch brands have done, because they had a 150-year head start on us, and now they've got, a few $1 billion in revenue head start on us. But I always like to think about, how can I take a learning from another brand, ask myself the question, does anything about this apply to us? And if so, how can I tweak it and change it and kind of run it through the filter of our brand to make it work for us? So I'm not just copying tactics directly. I almost named this whole podcast, like not just this episode, but the name of my podcast almost wasn't Tactical and Practical. I was going to call it Trickle Down Tactics, which is it's a great name. Still might change it. We'll see. But I wanted to call it Trickle Down Tactics because I wanted to talk more about this process of learning from the biggest and best brands in our industry, but then understanding how to take their tactics, run it through the filter of our brand, of our customer, of our price point, of our goals, of our budget, and then applying what we learned. I cannot just give away a Lamborghini like Ridge can and have it work for us. Our customers don't like it as much as theirs do. It would have to be different for us. We'd have to give away maybe an F-150, maybe a barrel of whiskey. We'd have to make it much more tailored to who we're speaking to. So do not just blindly follow whatever gurus on Twitter are preaching these days, including myself. Make sure you understand the game that you're playing. Make sure you deeply understand your customers, and make sure you are doing what's right for your brand, not necessarily, what's widely accepted as a common best practices. So those are the 3 biggest lessons among many that I'm taking away from my time at OG. Sell what your customers really want. Massive growth comes from stacking little wins over and over again. And lastly, do what's right for your brand. Thanks so much for listening to Tactical and Practical. If anyone wants to hire me, by the way, I'm looking for a new CMO gig, so let me know. Catch you guys next time. Shout out Intelligent for the sponsor. See you next time on Trickle Down, Tactical and Practical.